is related to the database. Okay? If you are taking the database class, I think you will have more idea about what is the database. But for our course, I will not discuss the detail about database. If you are not taking the database class, I think you can try to figure out the database in details. I will just give you a very brief information about database. And we will do the how can we access the data, and then we will learn some basic queries in Python Django. So what we are going to do today, and I mean in this PowerPoint, okay, so you will do this step. Okay? So this is step by step, and you need to understand this step, because if you are doing the wrong step, the website may not work properly, or there will be some errors. So the first is about the framework coding. So the framework coding consists of several items. Okay. If you can see this one, we will start with the new project. Okay, we will do one by one. Okay, so please try to follow my instruction, because if you miss one, then you may have errors in the later part. We will create the project, and after we create the project, the second we will modify the setting, and then we will do migrate. So it means we will make the user or group table creation, and then we will create the superuser. So what is superuser? We will learn later, and then we will make an app. Okay. So what is the app? So we will create, for example, the bookmark, or in our example, we will make the frequent asked question. And then we need to register the app. So for example, bookmark. So in this case, we are making the frequently asked question. And once you finish the framework coding, okay, that's all. So that's the framework. So you need to set up the framework before you do with the next. So after we set up with the framework, we can do the models. So the model means we want to make the database. And there will be some steps. You can define the models. After you define the model, you put the model into the admin. The admin page will be open, and then you need to modify something in the database after you commit, and then you finally do the migrate. So those 4 steps to do the model coding, and this PowerPoint will be until the model coding, and then we will try to connect to the data, how to get the data, how to read the data, how to update the data, and etc. And I think the URLs, the views, and the templates you learned from the previous PPT, and we will continue again in the next PowerPoint, in the other PowerPoint. Okay. So let's do the blue part and the green part in this PowerPoint. Let's go to the framework coding. I will make a new project, and for this project, I will use for another 3 weeks. Okay, so this week, and then next week, next week, and I think next week. Okay. So let's make one big project. So I can stop this one, and then I will make a new project. You know how to make a project? We are using Django, and then we can set the name of the project. Let's say I will use big project. Okay, or just follow this one. Yeah, it's up to you if you want to define your own project name. Okay. In my case, I will just make a big project, and then you can define again the interpreter. In this case, because you already installed Python, you can just use the existing Python interpreter. And the more settings is about the template language, because we are using Django, just set Django, and then the folder templates, and then enable Django admin. So let's make it as the default. Okay. And then once you create, there will be question whether you want to make in this window or new window test and etc. Let's just make in this window. So there will be a new project, and the project folder name is big project. Okay. Okay, did you finish this one? Okay, I think that's not a difficult task. After you create the project, now you can modify the setting environment. Let's open the setting environment. Okay, we can start from the beginning. As I mentioned to you before, we have the base directory. So the base directory is the folder that you use to save this project. So in this case, the project is located in the, in my computer, it is located in the users IME PyCharm projects, okay, and there is one folder, big project. This is the code to get the current project folder. Secret key, as I mentioned to you, it is different for every computer. So once you generate your Django, it will be different with my Django. And it will be different for every computer. It is unique. So the security, I guess, is very secure compared to your own website with the only HTML. And then debugging tool, so you can see any errors. And then there is one option, allowed host. Okay. So I would like to explain this a little bit. Usually the Python Django will allow you to use the local host or using the 127.0.0.1. Okay. So the previous PowerPoint shows us that we always use the 127.0.0.1. What does it mean? This is the local address, or whenever you start your web browser, we will see the local host. Local host means your computer is becoming a host, or your computer is becoming a server. You can define this one, or it's up to you. If you don't define this one, Django will automatically understand that you are in the local host. For example, if I define this one like this, okay, and then let's say I would like to know about the IP address. Yeah, your IP address might be different with my IP address. So for example, IP address. Okay. So it will show my IP address. So this is the IP address. Okay, please don't share to other people. This is very secure. So if I want to define this IP address, I think you can also do with the IP address here, and then you can put. So with this IP address, it means everybody can access your computer. Okay, so it's very sensitive part. So I will not put this one here, but this is only for your knowledge. So if you know your IP address and the IP address is fixed or constant, then you can define your IP address and everybody can use this IP address to connect to your web page. I will delete that part. So that's the meaning by the localhost. And as I mentioned to you, there is one problem in the settings. So you need to change every time you create your project. It is the tiers. Tiers means the directories. This is the basic template. So I will explain this one later, and maybe I will not explain this one. It's another part of the course. Okay. And yeah, we are using the URLs in the big project. And this is the tiers in the templates. Okay, so the template means the place you will save your HTML file. So you can just put plus and then put the slash templates in order to fix the errors in the directories. Okay, so please fix this one. After you fix the directories, you can go to the next. Because today we are going to use the database, you will see the option about database. So there are some database. Django provides the basic or the default database, which is SQLite. So we will use the SQLite 3. If you think that, okay, I want to use MySQL, yeah, you can change this one. So I will explain a little bit later about what you need to do if you want to use another kind of database. So this is the engine will be SQLite, and then the name of the file will be the db.sqlite3. After you have the model, after you have the database, yeah, there will be a file db.sqlite3. So by the default, yeah, the configuration use SQLite. If you wish to use another database, then you need to install the database, and then you need to get the library of that database, and then you need to match the database connection setting and etc. Okay, so there will be a lot of things to do in this section. So I do not want to make more complicated. So just use the SQLite at this moment. Language. Okay, this is important because we are in Korea. So the language code can be changed. So if you go here, the language code here, now it shows the English and US. Okay. So this code can be changed to, for example, you want to change to Korea. Then you can define KO-KR. In this case, every word in Korean, it can be read by the Django. Yeah, you can configure with the English US, or you can use Korean if you want. Okay. Or if you wish to use another kind of language, or I don't know. I think you are not here. I can edit up. Where is it? Can edit. Okay, I can edit. It's not here. So yeah, if you want to use another kind of language, yeah, you can define some format. So I'm not sure what kind of language do you want. For example, yeah, I know some of you from French department, so you can use French. Or yeah, this is about the Chinese. This is the simplified Chinese, so they use the CH. And then the traditional Chinese, they use the TW. So it's from, I think from Taiwan. Okay, I will just use the English US. Okay. If you want to change to Korean, yeah, you can go ahead with that one. The next is the project setting modification with the time zone. So the time zone is important. Okay. Now the current time zone is UTC. Do you know what is UTC? Yeah, usually we call it, this is the universal time coordination or coordinated universal time. And some of our code will connect to the time. So if you still remember, in the previous example, we use the time, date time. Okay. If you want to know the current time, if you set this to UTC, then the current time will not be the same with the computer time. So the UTC is like -9 from Korea. In order to check with the Korean time, yeah, you can use this kind of time zone, Asia, Seoul. Okay. And then we can change here. So the time zone will be the Asia Seoul. For this one, yeah, we can just make it as default. Okay, so this is about the language, and then this is about the input. Okay, and then use time zone. So the use time zone, the default value is true. It is to use the UTC time zone. So if you want to use the Asia Seoul time zone instead of UTC, then let's write false, because it may give you like conflict. Okay, so you can set as the false. If you want to keep this one as true, that's also fine. But at later part, maybe you will see like the current time and then -9. So something like, yeah, it will return back to the UTC time zone. Okay. Any problems? Any issue? The next, we will do the migrate. What is the migrate? As I mentioned to you in the first part, we need to migrate in order to execute all the libraries, so the website can have the access to the library. In this case, we need to do in the terminal. So here I give you the way to connect to the terminal. So there is one button in the below part of the PyCharm. You can go here, PyCharm, and you can see the terminal. Okay. In the below part, there's a terminal, so you can click, and after you click, there will be a command prompt. Oh, wait a moment. In this command prompt, okay, in this command prompt, you can type Python manage.py migrate. Okay, Python manage.py migrate. Sorry, I cannot enlarge this one. How can I enlarge this? Okay, anyway, I hope that you can see clearly. So I already put this text in the PowerPoint. Okay, so you can just copy and paste, or if you want to type, it's okay. So in this case, I would like to run the manage.py. What is the manage.py? Here, there is one file, manage.py. So we are going to execute the main function. So the main function means I would like to run the big project setting, and every time I run this project, it will execute the settings and other kind of module in this environment. And then, yeah, it will be depending on the command after this Python manage.py. If it is migrate, so it means what you already changed on the setting, it will be applied in your project. So we are going to apply all the changes, and once you migrate, it will create the initial. Okay, so if there is no existing file, it will create the initial. So you can see there are okay. So it is the first environment that you need to use for connecting to the database. And the other thing that you need to do is to create super user. What is super user? In Django, we have the administration process. So the administration process is about how to manage the administration, how to manage the database, how to manage who can access the website, who can access the database, and etc. So the super user is the high level user, and he can control everything. So this can be created in Python Django by command python manage.py create super user. If you still open your terminal, okay, let me open, we'll just clear buffer here. So this terminal, you can type python manage.py create super user. So this should be in your folder name. So the folder name is Fig project. That, yeah, you need to run this folder, and then you need to run the create super user with the manage.py Python in order to create the super user. The username, you can define your own username. So you can leave blank to use IME. It means IME is the name of this computer. Okay. Yeah, so this is another computer. I use another computer. So leave blank to use user. So it's up to you. What is the username that you want to use? Let me use user, okay, for easy memorize. And then after you click enter, there will be question, email address. So this is the basic requirement in Python Django. If you forgot your password, then you can extract again the password in your email address. It's up to you. You want to put your email address or not, but I guess I don't need to use my email address. So I will just give not real email address. So I can create user example.com. Okay? Because if you do not put the exact format for the email, it will be error. So you need to put, maybe this is just a fake email address, no problem. And then you need to create your password. I would like to suggest you to use this one. So if you, yeah, just in case you forgot, okay, so we can have the same standard of the password. But yeah, it's up to you. You can change the password and any things. But again, they have the requirement. So if your password is too short, or if your password does not contain letter and numbers and etc., there will be some warning. Okay. So I will just use the half IME 203, and then half IME 203. Okay, then finish. So please try to memorize your password. Okay, any questions until now? No? Can I continue? Okay. So after you have the super user, now let's create one new app. In Python, in Python Django, they call it as an app. Okay. App means a new application or a new folder that you can put all the related files about that kind of app. So of course, this is not an app that you use in the smartphone, but still you can connect this app later with your smartphone. So this is the way you can type the python manage.py start app, and then you can define the name. In my case, I would like to use FAQ. Okay, FAQ means like this. FAQ is frequently asked questions. So I want to create one website about question and answers. So I will just do this one. You can change the FAQ to any kind of your name. So for example, I want to create news, for example. So yeah, you can type python manage.py start app news. So let's just stick with this example. I want to type python manage.py start app and then FAQ. Okay. So once you press enter, after you wait for some time, you can go to this big project. You can click, and then you will see there is a new folder FAQ. Okay, and then you will see one migration folder, and then you will see some files: admin, apps, models, tasks, views.py. So this is a part of your application. In every new application, you will have those files, and you can keep it blank if you don't need that one. For example, in admin, it is still blank. Okay. In the apps.py, maybe this is only the basic one. This is the fact config. Okay. And the models, it is also empty. Okay. So the task is also empty. Views also empty. So they put this folder as a template. So you can create any codes later if you need to put the codes in that file. And you can see there is a new database like this one, db.sqli3, because you already migrate the system, so they create the basic file for the database. Okay, so you can see that now we have one folder FAQ. After you have the new app, you need to put that app into the setting. So let's go to setting. So this is my setting. It is my setting environment. And then you can go to the upper part. Now you can see there is one variable named install apps. In the install apps, they define the admin, out, content type, session, messages, static files. Okay. And maybe I will explain this one a little bit later. So in this case, you will need to add one more app. What is the app? The app name is FAQ. Okay. And I want to put all the things in this app into this install app. You can just use FAQ. So everything in this environment will be available later. Or you can use the apps, okay, and fact config. So in this case, if you go to the apps.py, there's a class FAQ config, or this is the configuration. This is under the app config. So everything that you will connect to this application will have some values in this app config. So if you open the app config, then you will see there are many kind of function that already built. So you can use this one without making your own configuration. For example, you can get model and you can get models, import models, and etc. Okay. I will not explain this one, but let's just use that one. So I will use this application, and then I will use the FAQ config for making the configuration. Okay. This for the first step. So the framework already finished. Now we need to make the model. What is model? In the basic definition for the Django, we have at least three kind of concept. Okay. The first is model, the second is template, and the other is view. So the idea, so you can see in the internet, there are many concepts about MVP. MVP. Or maybe, yeah, if you think why this is MVP, it should be MTV. Yeah, it's the same. But most concept in the internet, they will use MVP. So M is stand for the model. The model means the data access layer. Data access layer means, yeah, how you save the file, how you save the data, and then how you can access the data, and then how can you validate the data, and then what kind of behavior about the data, whether you want to show the data in the order, ascending, descending, and what is the relationship between the data. If you have one table, it's easy. If you have two tables, how can you combine? If you have more than two tables, then what will you do? So those are related with the model. Everything about the data, it will be connected to the model. So this PowerPoint, we will discuss many things about the data. Maybe next week, yeah, we will discuss about the view. And yeah, view and template in this like combined. So the template means the presentation layer. This layer contains presentation related decisions. How something should be displayed on the web page and or other type of document. So we already learned the template, like the structure of if, okay, the for, okay. So that's the basic one. What you want to show. If you want to show only the high numbers, so then you may have the if and then show only the higher number. If you want to do something with the element in the database, or for example the list, yeah, I want to show only the list which is higher than the average. So you can make the template, okay, to show what are the elements that you want to show in the HTML. So sometimes we will do not HTML. Now we will use only HTML for the web page, but later, yeah, you will connect to other type of document. Let's say you want to access image, or you want to access not HTML, but you want to access doc file, or you want to access the PowerPoint file, okay, and etc. view. View is the business logic layer. You already know this one. The basic concept here is we use the view.py. Okay. So there's a logic inside of views.py. Every time you create a variable, you need to render the variable into the HTML. So that's why the template and the view is connected. The view will render the HTML, render anything to the HTML, and the HTML will get anything from the view. Okay. So the template is about the HTML, the presentation layer, and then the data formatting is in the view. So we use the views.py. So this will be in the Python language, and then we will connect to the data, whether we want to design, whether we want to update or we want to delete. And then later, after we get the data in the views, we want to show it into the HTML. So that's the mechanism of the MVD. So first, let's create the model. The model means the database. Let's just copy and paste this one. We want to make the models.py in the FAQ. So you have the FAQ, and there is one file for models. So you can just delete this and then paste the code that I shared in the PowerPoint. Okay. Any comments, question, or any difficulties? Now, you will see about the model. I will explain a little bit how to define a model in the Django. In this environment, we have two models or two entities or two tables. Okay, so the models here, I can say it is entities or table, or if it is in the concept of database, you will have the entity relationship diagram. Okay, or we usually have a short ERD. So this is a simple ERD. Usually you can have different type of ERD with arrow and etc. So let's just use only two entities or two tables, and the tables can be represented in the Python format or Python file. Here I have the table and the table question, and then I have the table choice. For one question, it can have many choices. So maybe choice is related to the answer. Okay. Now I would like to make it as very simple to make you easy understand about this idea. This is the first attribute, or maybe it's better to use this. I think I need to enlarge a little bit. Okay. So there are two attributes. The first attribute is question text, and the other attribute is pub date or publication date. And in the database, we need to define what is the data type. The question text, I would like to use car field So this is the character. It is character. And then I would like to prepare 200 space. So there will be 200 characters. It is possible to input 200 characters here. The publication date is about date time field. You know, date time, it is related with the date and time. The choice will have one FK. FK means the foreign key. So for example, if I have one question, so the question will connect to this table, so I can know if the question is, what is your name? Then the answer or the choice, it can be anything. For example, oh, my name is Bernardo, or my name is Yahya, or my name is something. Then it should connect to at least one key from the table question. So that's why we have the F. Choice text. So choice text means we want to show the answer. If there's one question text, and then there will be one answer text. And again, I would like to use the character, and let's make 200 space. Put means, yeah, I just want to know if I answer some problems. For example, where is the toilet? For example, okay, you can go to the opposite of the building. If someone likes about the answer, then they can just press like button, and then there will be a number. The foot will increase by 1, for example. So it will be an integer. What is integer? It is a natural number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So everything will be in the integer number. URL. So I would like to put this one as well in this example, because you know there are many other fields, but I cannot teach you all the fields in short time. So I will just focus on some important field. For example, I would like to use URL. This is URL field. And let's suppose I would like to give you the unique equals to true. That's it. There is one question. What is the website of neighbor? Okay. So if someone already give you the website name, neighbor, okay, finish. Other person do not need to put that one again. So I would like to put this unique true. It means if there is only the one data about neighbor, then you don't need to define that URL again. That's the meaning by unique true. Okay. Okay, so this is the definition for everything that I explained before. Okay. So this code contains of class and the details of the attribute. Class and the details of these attributes. So you can see here the class question. So you need to understand the object-oriented programming in Python in order to create this one. So the class question means the table question. And the class choice means the table choice. And then this is the model. Yeah, this is just to say that this is the model. And whenever you do something with this table, yeah, it will connect to one library, which is the model in Python. And then you will have one variable question text, and this is based on the models. It will be the character, and the maximum length will be 200. Publication date, it will be from the models, and you will use the date time field. And just give a definition that this is the date published. So it will be shown later. About the choice, so the choice is the answer. We have one foreign key, and the foreign key will connect to the question. So here is the class question. And then whenever you delete, so it should be connected to the question. That's the meaning by on delete model cascade. We have choice text, it is the character, and the maximum length is 200. And then false, we have integer, just number. And if it is a new data, then just make it 0 as the default. And the URL is the URL, and we want to make it as a unique true. So if there is already one URL, then you cannot add the same URL. Okay. Okay, this is the more definition about the field, character field, and the default value, and about the foreign key. Okay. Okay, I think it's the time to finish. So I will continue the next part on Monday. Okay. Any questions, comments?